gentlemen of the press, good morning from the beautiful and wonderful country of Liberia. We are happy to be here to see our brothers from other parts of Africa. My name is Dr. Segun Adebayo, the Executive Director of the Center for African Policy Research and Advisory. And with me here are also other gentlemen who have some very important things to share with us. Information that affects the future of Africa, our families, the names we bear, the identity we carry. And it's a very important conversation we're going to be having this morning. It's going to be a short one. And we hope that as you watch this press media chat, this press briefing, you would, to spark the curiosity required to make the change that is required in our country and our continent. Because whatever affects Liberia affects Africa. And whatever is going on in Africa will definitely affect Liberia. We're here to discuss on the SRHR, the Sexual Reproductive Health Rights, which has become a talking point in the political spaces in Africa, and it's currently being sponsored heavily in Liberia at this time. If you walk the streets of Liberia, Monrovia, and other parts of the country, you will see banners, billboards, talking about SRHR. You will see banners, billboards, advocating for it is my body, I want to do what I want to do with it. Things like that. And also, you would see in some places events with young people sponsored, gathered to advocate for these things. But what exactly is going on at this time? And from the Center for African Policy Research and Advisory, we have done a lot in advocating for policies that promote healthy living, sane living, and policies that will lead to a more prosperous Africa. With me on the set, I'd like to introduce some gentlemen who are going to be speaking to this. To my left, I have a representative from the Love All Children's Ministry. It's an organization that is dedicated to the welfare of children around the world, particularly children. And to my immediate right, I have a representative from the Center for Youth Participation in Dialogue in Africa. It's a youth organization that has done a lot of work in mobilizing the voices of young people to discuss policies. And also, he's the country director in Nigeria of an organization called Equity International Initiative. And to my extreme right, I have the host of this gathering, the pastor of Christ Embassy, Painesville. And it's a faith-based organization that's doing a lot in the country and in the region towards the conversation that we're going to be having today, providing practical, real-time, live options of what the government and what civil society organizations should be doing with the issues that we are facing today. So I'm going to, at this time, introduce the organizations once more, and the gentlemen would introduce themselves. They'll tell us their names, and we would commence the conversation. So I would start again from my extreme left. So my left, Pastor Williams, that's his name, the representative from Love All Children's Ministry.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shego. So my name is William Sheldrick Marshall, and I represent the Love World, the Ministry of Children Affairs, Love World Nation.
All right, so
dear friends from the media. My name is Ambassador Chris Yama. I work with the Center for Youth Participation, Dialogue and Advocacy in Africa, and of course the country director of Equity International Initiative, headquartered in London, but I'm coming from Nigeria. Thank you. Good morning, gentlemen. Pastor Alfred Nielsen, pastor of Christ Embassy Churches here in Liberia, and I'm here to join this dialogue to speak against this initiative that we heavily sponsored in our nation, and we reject it vehemently. That's why we are hosting this, and that's why we are here. So good morning again.
Thank you. So with that, with the introductions done, let's dive right into it. First of all, in international law on human rights, there are about 9 of them. And among all the international laws, now, international laws are mainly enacted through charters, treaties from the United Nations. And amongst all of them, at the moment, which are mainly ratified by the member states of the United Nations, there is currently no law that backs or supports sexual rights. There is currently none. There is none at this time. And the interpretations that you're currently seeing from the negotiated treaties are done by organizations and individuals that are benefiting from what we are talking about. First of all, in your country at this time, over $20 million has been given to fund the promotion of sexual reproductive health and rights in your country. Over $20 million has been released from organizations like the RFSU, who we saw earlier on, are first and foremost primarily manufacturers of sex toys. They believe in LGBT. They promote the LGBT lifestyle, which is totally foreign to us here in Africa. Number 3, they manufacture contraceptives. Now, contraceptives have been named as one of the major causes of hormonal disruption in our women. They manufacture pregnancy test kits. So you're looking at the whole sex industry. That is where they play in. So if they bring money to come and fund billboards, fund jamborees, fund the policy development processes to amend our public health law. And when they talk about sexual rights, what is included in the sexual rights? First of all, they don't define it by age. So you're talking about children, because by the time they promote the sexual reproductive health rights, it will lead to the teaching, the compulsory teaching of children from grade 1. You're talking about children from 7 years, comprehensive sexual education. It begins to feature in our schools. Now, imagine, I don't know if you're parents, but if you are a parent and you have a child at 7 years is being taught about sex, so much so that they begin teaching the children that it is your body. You have the right to do what you want to do with it from age 7. Children that, according to international rights, are supposed to be under the guidance of their parents. The comprehensive sexual education directly negates parental authority over the children. How do we send our children to go to school and learn maths and English and integrated science, and then you begin to teach them sexual acts how to have sex funded by companies that are producing sex materials boldly on their website. These are the silent parts of the conversation that nobody is talking about. So when you see it on the billboards, they look at it, it looks totally different. But the truth of the matter, the truth of the conversation is that our children, the innocence of our children is being eroded from the schools. And the people who are pushing it are not even waiting for the amendment of the public health law. They are not. They begin by overwhelming the public to gain consensus to support these acts. So we come here today to speak to the people of Liberia. Before you support the amendment of the public health law, it is important you realize the impact if this law is passed. Before you support the amendment of the curriculum to hypersexualize our children, it is important that we understand the importance of this. Our children are innocent. We must
thing that has to do with children, and not just children, but the family as well. The Ministry of Children Affairs joined fellow religious leaders in affirming our commitment to protecting the sanctity of human life, strengthening families, safeguarding parental rights, promoting moral and spiritual development of children across Liberia. We believe that every child is created in the image of. We call for compassionate solutions that support both mothers and children through improved maternal health care, family support systems, adoption. Parents remain the primary educators of their children and must have a central role in shaping their children's moral and educational development. And that is very important because once the family comes under attack and there is no authority over children, people tend to sneak in and give them values that will destroy their lives. And that's what we see creeping into the system of Liberia. We therefore call for greater transparency in curriculum development, meaningful parental involvement in educational decisions, and respectful parental rights. Respect for parental rights, sorry. Furthermore, we advocate for an educational system that prioritizes character formation alongside academic excellence. Liberia's children need value-based education that promote integrity, responsibility, respect, compassion, faith, and good citizenship. Strong moral foundations are essential to raising future leaders and nation builders. The ministry has a critical responsibility, and so does the church, to defend children, support families, provide moral leadership, and engage constructively in public policy discussion affecting the welfare of children and society. Rather than exposing children to premature adult concepts, we encourage greater investment in literacy, numeracy, digital skills, vocational training, like what Christ Embassy is doing, leadership development, entrepreneurship, child protection, mental wellness, emotional resilience, and family life education grounded in moral values. We call upon religious leaders, policymakers, educators, parents, and civil society organizations to work together in advancing policies that protect the unborn, that strengthen families, and uphold parental rights, promoting character-based education, and enhancing the overall welfare of children throughout Liberia. Together, we can build a future where every child is protected, every family is strengthened, and every community thrives. This is our position as the Ministry of Children Affairs for Love Our Nation, and we stand by this. And not just, the ministry is actively engaged, and we will ensure, working with all civil society organizations, we will ensure that this advocacy reach as far and as wide as it can, reach to the relevant people, and that we're going to ensure that this does not happen in Liberia, because we know the effect it has around the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very spirited charge from the Love Children's Ministry, the Ministry of Children's Affairs. And I'm going to be handing over the mic next to Ambassador Chris Iyama. But one thing I also want to talk about the RSFU, their agenda in Liberia is to promote abortion, to decriminalize abortion in your country. Because currently abortion is illegal. And once it is decriminalized, you find these organizations have ties to, they have ties to other organizations that profit from abortion. So one of the main issues that they have here in Liberia is to decriminalize abortion. And like I mentioned earlier, LGBT rights is also included in sexual reproductive health rights. And this is not supported by any international law. I want to restate that again. It is not supported because it has been presented many times to the UN General Assembly, and the voting bloc from Africa, because largely in Africa, LGBT is illegal. LGBT is illegal. We don't understand it. It is not a part of our system. It is not Western. It is ungodly. And the family as an institution is against the LGBT. There is no family that started with LGBT. We're against it in Africa. And because the voting bloc in the United Nations from Africa have been against it, that means there is no international law that ratifies the actions of sexual reproductive health rights. Because there are children who are not supposed to have an idea of those things until they are matured for it. And in the course of these conversations, we're going to show you examples of what is in your curriculum, how the children are currently being sexualized. So before then, let's have a Ambassador. Thank you.
Once again, my dear friends from the media, I want to tell you guys a story of what happened in Nigeria just a few years ago. In the first place, for any donor agency putting up $20 million for such kind of exercise is an insult to the nation of Liberia. Is a grave insult to the nation of Liberia. You know, as someone that has worked with several government agencies around the world, I know when a country is undervalued. And I'm speaking to your conscience as media organizations. Just a few years ago, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the World Health Organization put forward about $2 billion to promote such kind of exercises in Nigeria. As at when we got the information as at that time, a lot of our lawmakers at the National Assembly, State House of Assembly, government policy stakeholders, civil society organizations were already sharing the money amongst themselves to sponsor the bill in the parliament to scale through so that it will become a law in the nation of Nigeria. When organizations like us got to hear about the information and what was going on as at that time, we quickly had to mobilize thousands of civil society organizations across Nigeria, and we marched straight to the National Assembly. In fact, 250 million Nigerians were not aware as at that time, because as at 2014, the president of the Senate, then Nigerian Senate, Senator David Mark, when they found out that one or two, the Canadian embassy in Nigeria was promoting LGBTQ, they raised a bill in the parliament that later became an act to punish or to sentence, put a sentence of 14 years to any person caught in such acts. And that was how that thing died a natural death. Between 2018 And 2022 and 2023 and 2024, they wanted to bring about same thing again. As at that time, they were already distributing billions. Money was already exchanging hands in the parliament in millions of dollars. Let me ask you a question as media organizations. You know, a lot of times, you are the conscience of the society. And what you are not aware, it means the nation is not aware. If you are not aware, the nation is not aware. But woe unto any media organization who hears such kind of evil and keep quiet. So to the media in Liberia, would you hear of such a thing and keep quiet? There are so many media organizations around the world. They are known as brown envelope journalism or journalists, in such a way that they rather take money, keep quiet, and not promote the good of the country. What we are doing here today, nobody is sponsoring us to say the truth. Nobody. But it's for the interest of the African people. It was in the Bible when who asked that question, says, shall we continue in sin that the grace of God may abound? What was the response? He said, God forbid. This particular engagement, the sexual reproductive right, is alien to Africa. It is not our culture. It can never be our culture. And Africa represents the morally consciousness of the world. And so is Liberia. Any country or any donor agencies that want to help Liberia, it is not in that. Liberia needs more help, but not in educating our children sexually with $20 million. So what do we need to do? Because before these people start talking about these issues like this, it means that they are already engaging the parliament. So the essence of this conversation amongst civil society organizations and other stakeholders is to garner views and garner opinion, so that when it comes before the parliament, the parliamentarians know what to do. It is just to approve it. But if this conversation is right in the front burner, the Liberian people are talking about it, because let me tell you, people that are going for such engagement, such conferences, they are going there with good intentions. They are not aware, so they colorize it. They make it beautiful in such a way that when you even see, you are tempted, oh wow, these people are providing such kind of huge funds to support sexual reproductive health rights amongst young people. So, I mean, it's a welcome development. That is what they will think. The question is, you know, a lot of times we must ask the right questions. It is not about giving you gifts. It's about who is giving you that gift, and it is for what purpose. The moment you are able to answer such question, then you can cross the T's and dot the I's. So it behoves on the Liberian people, civil society organization, faith-based organization, members of the parliament, every organization based in Liberia, to do justice and to do just one thing: stop it now. Stop it now. The best time to have stopped it was maybe 10 or 20 years ago. Another best time is now. 10 or 20 years ago, you were not aware of the dangers. But now that you are aware, what are you going to do about it? So I'm charging your conscience as media organizations and media outfits representing the voices of the people. You are more stronger than the government. You have a force, you have a voice. And so what you cannot stop can never be stopped by anybody. Because at the end of the day, what they are trying to do is that, you see, a lot of times these people try to impoverish the people. They know that when they invite the media organizations, so at the end of the day, they will just say, okay, for your per DM, and then they will reimburse you like $200. Is $200 enough for you not to carry out the message properly to the Liberian people? Absolutely no. Is $1 million enough? Absolutely no. Is $20 million enough? Not at all. Let them channel such money to reconstructing the nation of Liberia. When I was coming lesbianism, gayism, and everything containing the LGBTQ is completely anti-Christian. And this nation is overwhelmingly a Christian nation. And we must lend our voices as the body of Christ against such operation right on our noses in the disguise of funding and helping our people. We should rather help our people build more vocational education. All the time when we have a graduation here in Christ Embassy or vocational school, I always call for the decentralization of these things. As I'm talking to you right now, our next operation, Vonjeman Lofa County, is having a new school coming up. We're having a new campus coming up in Kakata, Magibi County. This is what we are interested in. And we'd like to call on government and all of our parliamentarians to resist such a bill. The amendment of this public health law should be resisted because of the underlying tones that it has. We should not be concerned just about receiving money from donor agencies. We should think about the children of Liberia. This is going to affect us. And in fact, it is foreign to us. And that is why I love what Dr. Shegun said. There is no international law that backs sexual rights. These are a foreign policy of European nations because of what they want to achieve. So to put as a foreign policy behind it, if you don't agree to this, we will not take it. We will give you this if we can sponsor you like this. I was listening to a story yesterday you told about what happened in Nigeria years ago. The same thing. They came and brought so much money and they said we'll have a new curriculum for the society. And they checked in the curriculum, they started saying everything sexualized. How will you teach children 1 + 1 is 2? But you're telling children 1 condom plus 1 condom is 2 condoms. What are you trying to do? You are sexualizing everything. That's the destruction. The children are our future. And we cannot sit here and look at the future generation to go down the drain. And so I'm lending my voice. We, as a faith-based institution, we vehemently reject the sexualization of our kids. We vehemently reject every action of our FSU and their comprehensive sexual education they want to introduce and the SRHR. We reject it. We're going to stand up. I'm going to call up all bishops and apostles and faith-based pastoral networks to join in this fight. We must inform our parliamentarians. We must inform our representatives and our senators. We must inform our colleague pastors that this is what is happening, and we must stand now to nip it in the bud and get it out. Nigeria got rid of it. Other countries got rid of it. Ghana got rid of it. As a matter of fact, Ghana is even far in their work against such things because we know the implications. So we are here in Liberia should get rid of it. And we are fully on board. And I'm saying to you, we're going to lead the sustenance of this advocacy. Since we are on the ground, we're going to lead it in every way possible to ensure that government is aware and we're not going to sit down for the amendment of that law and the implementation of any sexual right education in our schools and among our children. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
I like what the esteemed country pastor just said to you. I want to kindly suggest that let us not wait till tomorrow. As you're living here, go to the parliament and start engaging them. The organization that Dr. Shegu just read out, they are resident here. They have, the funders have country offices in Liberia. It will start engaging them. And then you will find out that everything that they are trying to promote have no basis with our African tradition and African culture. So the first point of call is to engage the members of the parliament, the people that you have elected to represent you. That is where the call should begin. And then begin to mobilize other civil society organizations and stakeholders. The next thing is, sometimes as you are also doing this, Pastor said we are going to, he's going to create a lot of awareness around the whole issue. Beyond the awareness, this is the charge to the media people, because nobody can do what you're supposed to do. Your information is very important. Can we have a coalition in Liberia? I'm thinking that between now and Monday, we should be dragging the government first to court while we are doing other advocacy engagements in collaboration with other partners. So I think you can. I think you can. It should not just end here. I think that the advocacy begins immediately you leave here.
You know, he's speaking directly to the gentleman and the gentleman from the press. You know, in Nigeria, when they started pushing genetically modified foods, one of the first things I said to the media people was, if you don't speak against it, and if you don't work against it, you will eat it, and when the cancer and all the things that come from it starts happening, it also affects you. So you are not doing us a favor by getting on this. You're doing it for your families, your children. You're doing it for your nieces and your nephews. How would you like your nephew to come home one day and say, your nephew, maybe his name is Murphy. Murphy comes home one day and then tells you that his name is now Messi. And then he now wears skirt. Let me tell you about someone. Her name is Dr. Slange Mofokeng. She's a UN Special Rapporteur on right to physical and mental health. Listen, the United Nations, now, we're not absolving the United Nations of their involvement in this. United Nations Population Control, Population Funds Agency are also involved. In fact, they are the main hosts. They are the ones that are helping RFSU move around in your country. Now, in 2023, RFSU organized a conference with the United Nations here on sexual reproductive health rights. And who was the expert that was brought to speak to the group? It was Dr. Mofokeng. Now, number one, Dr. Mofokeng is someone who has made money from abortions. She provides services for abortions in her home country. Number two, she is an open advocate for legalizing prostitution, and she says sex work is real work. Number three, she's an outspoken advocate for sexual and reproductive health. Like I said, if you know that I sell poisons, will you drink water in my house? How can this be the person who is coming to help us understand how we should write our laws to guide our children? It is very important that you know the character of the elements and the organizations that are consulting for our government. It is very important. And I also want to let you know that it is in their document, the RFSU's document. I'm reading their document here. And they said, sexual reproductive, SRHR basically means the right to decide over one's body, sexuality, and reproduction. It is about the right to have and express your sexuality and decide freely with whom you want to have sex, irrespective of age. It is written in their own document, irrespective of age. So they are trying to clear your doubt. They're trying to help you understand that we're not ambiguous here. We really think children should be having sex. So let me finish this before you come in. It says, irrespective of your age, your gender, or sexuality, so long as that decision does not infringe on anyone's right. That is written in their own document. And I want to show you here some of their training materials that they are making available to your schools in Liberia. Look at this. This is a training material for your schools in Liberia. Look at the next slide. Children. This is book for children. It is a book for children. And then when you zoom into this, you look at what they write here about this girl. He said, you can have sex sit on a chair against the wall, over the head, and other things. Explicit information for children, destroying their innocence. And then you look at this one here. Two men. This is what they are teaching. And like Pastor said earlier on, that Liberia is a very godly nation. It's predominantly a Christian nation. This is what they are giving us. Our children go to church and Sunday school on Sunday to learn about God and learn to live properly. Then on Monday, RFSU comes and gives them this in school. And then you see other things. We must speak up. You wanted to say something?
Thank you. This is not something that is coming. It is something that is here. Now, if you go to the Ministry of Education website right now, there are curriculums there, the revised curriculum. Go to the curriculum that is meant for 1st grade to 6th grade and go to the social studies curriculum. And in our social studies curriculum, go to the component that talks about sexual reproductive health. There is an activity in that particular curriculum that tells children in 5th grade to start meditating on when they want to have sex, who they're going to have sex with, and how they're going to have sex. Now just think about it. Your 7-year-old or your 8-year-old daughter goes to school, spends a good part of the week with the teacher, and is learning this very actively. Do you think she's going to postpone having sex when she's already meditating on how and when she's going to do that? If your son is being driven by someone who is being given money by this organization to teach him how to have sex with a male and tell him there is nothing wrong with it, that he can be a man or a woman if he wants to be, how much power do you think you have as a parent if something like this is being given to your child? Now, that is not the end of it. There is an entire network in this country that is there to support them in case you get angry as a parent and say, go home, or I'm not going to support you, or I'm going to beat you for what you're doing, or I'm going to chastise you, or their arms are open. And they are willing to take care of them better than you are doing. This is why you see, sometimes it's like joke on social media when we see people trying to project something. You see all these cross-dressers, you see all these guys portraying themselves as women. It is not comedy. It is desensitization of the society. It is letting you see that is normal. And by the time you see that is normal, over a certain period, you accept it if your son starts behaving like that. How many of you have heard about, I think you've heard about the theory of the boiling frog. Have you heard about the theory of the boiling frog? The theory of the boiling frog says if you put a frog in a water and you put fire under the frog, if you heat the water slowly, the frog will let itself be boiled to death. If you put the frog, that same frog, you put it in a hot water, he will jump out. That is what is working against us in this country at the moment. It is a slow feeding of our society, slow feeding of our children, slow feeding of our youth, building a network and building a base where by the time you say we want to legalize these things, people will stand up and say, oh, but we're already doing it. So let it go on. Now, I say we cannot be the case of the boiling frog. We have to be sensitive to what is happening at this moment. We have to stand up for it, and we have to speak against it and ensure that it does not continue on the course that it has already begun.
In closing, he referenced the curriculum, and he told you where to get it from. You're journalists. We now have to investigate. What you're doing by reporting this is you're not telling the people what we said. These things are going to affect our children. And in closing, go and look at the curriculum for grade 5. Go and look at it. 15-year-old children. It teaches that you can have a different opinion from your parents, and you can adopt your opinion on sex irrespective of your parents. 15 years old are being taught to disregard parental authority over sex, and they can go for it. And from 15, if the parent says, we would chastise you for it, according to the belief system of both the traditional system, the church system, the cultural values, these guys are waiting to take these children in. It's already happening here. And our charge to you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, viewers all around the world, you can, don't take our word for it. Go on the internet and read about this curriculum, read about the laws. On the streets of this nation, there are billboards. This is one of the billboards that says access to holistic sexual reproductive health care services is a human right. It didn't specify child or adult. So we must be careful. And the people who are behind these things, they have a name for themselves. Some of them, they are called minor attracted persons. That is a nice way to coin it that they are pedophiles. People who like to have sex with children. So they are coming here to come and satisfy their perverted, ungodly, and demonic lifestyle. So we must be careful. And the whole world must know this. Thank you. Let us take questions.
So, my name is Maka Davis. I work for OBFM and TV Online. To what extent can you prove, or I should say, allegation about this particular association funding these policies for the particular reason they think they're doing it for?
Is that all?
That's my question.
Okay. Any other question? Yeah, let's take more questions.
Another one, if
Okay.
nobody is coming in again. Another one is the issue of abortion that you mentioned. I
Right.
think that is in line with the 2022 healthcare bill that is still being debated at the Liberian legislature.
Yeah.
So people who are pushing that provision in the law have been preaching a logic of in conditions where maybe the life of the mother is at risk, or there's some health complication during the pregnancy, there's incest, for example. I mean, they are justifying that these kind of conditions can necessitate abortion. What do you say to that as well?
Yeah. Thank you. Two questions. Do we have other questions? All right. So as regards the funding, it's open information that is accessible on the internet. You can go online, you can look at it, go to IFSU, go to their funding, go to their partners. You will see all the information, that you need as regards their funding. And like we said, don't take our word for it. Everything we have said, you can go to the internet and check them for yourself. They are open information that is accessible. Then about what you said about abortion, the debate and all, even in Ghana, those factors are considered. In many parts of the world, they are considered. they don't even have access to aborted fetuses. Like even some of the COVID vaccines have components of aborted fetus in them. You should look that up also. When they don't have access to aborted fetus like that, they farm them themselves. The Epstein files reveals that too. You should look up the Epstein files and study on how they have intentionally groomed children, farmed women to produce children that they use for all kinds of stuff, including the sacrifices to demons. They do that.
So also on the sex education issue,
Right.
some of the people who support the provision believe that because people don't have sex education, they make wrong choices. For example, early childbearing, making mistakes, coming up in life because you don't have education about your sex life. So they push these narratives to make people think that it is important for people to start learning about these kind of things at a younger age. What do you think are the harms?
That is the responsibility of the family as an institution. That's the responsibility of the family. That's why there is a family. That is even the reason why God decided that the children will come to the families. If the children were going to drop into countries from heaven without passing through the family as an institution, then we can have that conversation. But the family has, so when you see a conference like Strengthen the Family Conference, we should be advocating for conferences to strengthen the family as an institution, support the family as an institution. Data shows that homes where the fathers are present, the mothers are present, they have better foundation at making excellent choices. Then now you have organizations like the church, the bastion of truth, which Liberia is predominantly a Christian country. Then because the church strengthens the family as an institution. In fact, the church is responsible for ensuring that the family has a union, is protected, and the family is doing excellently well. So these are structures that are already there. If the government feels that these structures are weakened, then the government can take actions to strengthen the structures that come naturally. And that's why no child can come without the activity of a father and a mother. Pastor.
Thank you. What we're talking about here is they're talking about comprehensive sex education, which is very dangerous. It includes explicit sexual content, sexual experimentation, gender ideology, alternative sexual lifestyles. Those are the harm. You understand? So we're not just, you see, they're high on the name sexual rights. But in that sexual right are the dangerous ideologies pushed to children at that age, and also promoting children to be independent of parental guidance when it comes to deciding their sexuality. That's where the problem is. That's why he's talking about the family. The family should be fully involved, especially for that age. And we're talking about sexual education. We're looking at the age limit too. Now, there is no age limit. So we're talking about from primary school all the way upward. That is wrong. If we are talking about from 18 years upward, when the person is an adult, then we say, okay, they can decide based on what happened, inculcated in them over the years by the family. But you cannot come and bring such explicit content to children that are in first grade. You know children in first grade, right? 7, 8-year-olds, some even 6 years old now in first grade. What are they going to do about sexual positions? Sexual positions. My body is my right. These are the hidden dangers under that law that we want to clear out.
So I'm Siawe. So he did mention, he referenced the curriculum and talked about a fifth grade that they are being taught. Now, So my concern is, even though we independently verify this, but I want to know if it has been in the curriculum for 5th grade, or is as the result of the awareness being carried out by the Sexual Reproductive Health and Right that prompted the Ministry of Health to include it, or it has been there. That's a bit of a concern.
This is a campaign that has been going on for years, right? And that was put in there because of the influence of these organizations. This is not a campaign that started yesterday. This is something that has been going on for years. So the last revision that was done, that was placed in there. Now, like I said, it's going to progress. And after a while, you will look at the children's curriculum and you will not believe what you will be looking at. Because it's a slow progression.
Like the boiling floor.
Exactly. It's a slow progression. You won't see it coming. Because they know if they just come up and go to Parliament and say, let's pass a law, and Parliament passes the law, there will be public outcry. So what do? You start targeting it from the people and the youth. Then you start letting people, get used to having that kind of information or that kind of thing happening around them. And then in the end, you have a stronger one coming up.
All right, I'm Solomon Tobe, report for Truth FM. My question to that, with the SRHR issue and the SGBV, women have been involved heavily with this kind of initiative within Liberia. We, of course, some part of last year, through the support of international organizations, UN and other people, they submitted a bill to the House of Representatives, And it's also on a discussion. They went to the House and the speaker received the communication. This is a big fight. Let's look at your commitment in ensuring that you're working along with the faith-based institution in Liberia, Crescent Bassett. Let's look at your commitment, because this is a big fight. It's not a one-day thing. How willing are you to be able to work with Liberia, ensuring that we have this kind of issue resolved? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. There's quite a lot of similarities between your question and his question. I'll tell you the similarities. Of the United States, Woodrow Wilson, led by a man called Mandel House and his team of guys. By that time, the public's opinion towards having a consensus to make that, to ratify it in the US government then was very low. So it failed. So what they decided was that they would use another 25 years to push the same thing. And 25 years later, they pushed the same thing. So what failed as League of Nations became successful as United Nations. So they boiled the frog for 25 years. And it happened. Now, you are asking, how committed are we to this conversation? It's very easy. When you go downstairs, you would see women, close to 1,000 right now, learning different skills, learning about makeup, learning about paint making, soap making. You will see gentlemen kitted in all the gear, learning about plumbing, learning, handy skills. And, Pastor, how many people have graduated from that program here so far?
Well, over the period, we have close to 13,000 persons. Over the period of 7 years, close to 13,000 persons have gone through. You have been in Liberia for a while, so when we talk about graduation, the one will be coming up soon, just in the next few weeks. You see the number of people coming up. By the grace of God, we'll be graduating another 1,000+ persons this time around.
for the past 7 years, we have been working. I'm using we now because you're asking if you're speaking to those of us here. So one of us here has been working for 7 years. He didn't try to change public opinion, but he's been working in giving them skills. Now, while we are empowering these people, helping them open businesses, shops, contribute positively to the society, if while we are doing that, someone else comes and starts trying to destroy that work by giving them orientation, no. We will now extend our work towards that place now and protect our people from being turned into something else. That is the commitment. So we are telling you that we've been doing this for 7 years and even counting. And in fact, I don't think you may be aware. Another organization, this is a children's ministry. Another of our partners, they are not here. They are currently, elsewhere preparing for another engagement. It's called the Inner City Missions for Children. In Africa alone, they have built 20 free schools. 20. The child enters the school without paying a cent and spends 6 years without paying a cent. The child is given uniforms for 6 years. Shoes, school shoes, socks, bags. And these uniforms are not, food fed twice a day. And there is a clinic close by in case the child gets sick. Free medical care. And for 6 solid years. And not a cent is collected. In fact, some of them are transported home and brought to school every day. It is here in Liberia. It is in Nigeria. It is in Kenya, Central African Republic. More are coming up. One is coming up in Ghana soon. Malawi, spreading. Even outside Africa, India, Fiji. Free schools. And they are building more. These schools are the biggest free schools in their countries. So we are not talking about what we are not doing. We are already doing things. Now, if you want us to now take it to the policies making space, then you meet us there. Because we must ensure that our people live right. And these schools are not Paco and wood and thatch roof. No. Some of these classrooms have air condition. We give them the lifestyle of the opulent, the upper class. So this is what we are doing. And we will do more. Answers the question? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So this is just the beginning. We have a lot of other things to talk about, many other things. And we are going to be engaging you. Sometimes it will be online. Sometimes online, we'll come online. We'll talk about a lot of things because, you see, this is just SRHR. There are many other policies that we need to look at. Many other policies. Your food, because let me tell you, you are what you eat. Cancers, hypertension, stroke, diabetes, all that food. And if chemicals that accelerate these things are put into, the population in Liberia isn't so much, 5 million, So they don't push it very strongly where the population isn't so much. Nigeria's population is well over 250 million, close to 250 million, over 200 million. So that's a large population, a large market. And then they're trying to push some of these things. So we're going to talk about your food. We'll talk about your health care. What vaccines are you putting into your body? By now, I'm sure you know about the COVID vaccines that's making people fall ill. You know that already. Blood clots, myocarditis coming out of these things. So a lot of things are coming up. And we're going to have these conversations. And from time to time, we'll share materials with you. Is that good? Is that okay? Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for your time. And we look forward to you taking this message to the people that you represent. God bless you.